I wasn't supposed to come home that early. If I had followed my normal routine, I would have walked into the house 2 hours later, and maybe I would have never found out. Or maybe I would have found out much later. After more lies. After more damage. My name is Megan, and for a long time, I believed I understood my husband. Daniel and I had been married for 8 years. Not a perfect marriage, but stable, predictable, comfortable. The kind of relationship where nothing dramatic ever really happens. We had routines, dinner together, weekends at home, occasional arguments, but nothing serious. At least, that's what I thought. Looking back now, I can see the signs, the small things that didn't make sense. But at the time, I ignored them. Because when your life feels stable, you don't go looking for cracks. Everything started changing slowly. Daniel began working later. At first, once or twice a week. Then more often. Sometimes he wouldn't come home until after 10 p.m. Busy day, he would say. Deadlines. Meetings. The usual explanations. And I believed him. Because why wouldn't I? Then came the phone. He started taking it everywhere. Always face down. Always locked. If a message came in, he checked it immediately. Even if we were in the middle of a conversation. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Work. Friends. Normal things. But the feeling didn't go away. It stayed. Quiet. Growing. Then there were the weekends. He started going out more. Just meeting some friends, he said. But he never really said which friends. And when I asked, the answers were always vague. The kind of answers that don't give you anything to hold on to. Still, I didn't push. Because part of me didn't want to know. Then came the day everything changed. It was a Thursday. I remember because the entire day had been packed. Meetings. Calls. Deadlines. Around 4 p.m., my manager told me I could leave early. Something about a canceled client meeting. At the time, I felt lucky. I even smiled on the way to my car. I had no idea what I was about to walk into. The drive home felt normal. Traffic. Music. Nothing unusual. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something immediately. A car. Not mine. Not Daniel's. My stomach tightened slightly. Then I saw another one. 2 cars. Parked near the house. I frowned. Maybe Daniel had friends over. That wasn't unusual. But something felt off. He hadn't mentioned anything. I walked to the front door and unlocked it. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Daniel? I called. No answer. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. And then I heard it. A sound. Coming from upstairs. Voices. More than one. And something else. Laughter. My heart started beating faster. I moved slowly toward the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. The voices became clearer. A woman's voice. Then another. And Daniel. All 3 of them. My chest tightened. I walked up the stairs. Slowly. Quietly. Until I reached the hallway. The bedroom door was slightly open. Light spilling into the hallway. My hand tightened into a fist. And then I pushed the door open. And in that moment, everything I thought I knew about my life shattered. The door swung open. And for a second, I couldn't understand what I was seeing. Daniel. And 2 women. All in the same room. Too close. Too comfortable. Like this wasn't the first time. Then everything clicked at once. My chest tightened so hard it almost hurt. Megan. Daniel started. His voice sounded shocked. Panicked. Like he had just been caught in something he couldn't explain. The 2 women stepped away from him immediately. One grabbed her jacket. The other avoided looking at me entirely. But it didn't matter. I had already seen everything. What is this? I asked. My voice sounded calm. Too calm. Daniel ran his hand through his hair. It's not what it looks like. I almost laughed. Really? I stepped further into the room, because it looks pretty clear to me. Silence filled the space between us. The kind of silence that says more than words ever could. How long? I asked. Daniel didn't answer. I looked at the two women. Neither of them spoke either. That silence told me everything. This isn't the first time, I said quietly. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. No, he admitted. The word hit harder than anything else. Not a mistake. Not a one-time thing. A pattern. A choice. Over and over again. I nodded slowly. Were you ever going to tell me? He shook his head. I didn't know how. Of course. That answer again. People always say that when they get caught. Not before. Never before. I looked at the women. Do you both know about each other? I asked. They exchanged a quick glance. One of them nodded slightly. So they knew. That made it worse somehow. This wasn't chaos. This was something organized. Something planned. I felt something inside me go completely still.
No anger. No tears.
Just clarity. Sharp and cold. I looked at Daniel. You're leaving, I said. He blinked. What? You heard me. My voice didn't shake. Pack your things and get out of my house. Megan, we can talk about this.
No.
I cut him off. There's nothing to talk about. There was no explanation that would fix this. No apology that would undo what I had just seen. The two women quietly moved toward the door. Neither of them said a word as they left. And just like that, it was only me and Daniel in the room. He stood there, looking at me like he was trying to figure out what to say. But there was nothing left.
Nothing worth saying.
He finally nodded, slowly, then turned and walked toward the closet. I stepped back into the hallway, and for the first time since I walked into that room, I took a full breath. Because sometimes the truth doesn't come in pieces. Sometimes it hits you all at once. And when it does, you don't need explanations. You just need to walk away.